Welcome back to Monday Night Football post-game recap. This is your host, Alex, finally coming back on. Shout out to Christmas, allowing me to finally have some nights off. We have Garrett from Iowa here today, and we also have Corey, who is also benefiting from the Christmas break. How are both you gentlemen doing?
Oh, it's been a great night. I actually hung out with Corey on the live stream watching the game, and it was a great time. So it's been a pretty good night, football wise.
Yeah, agree. Jumped on. We had a pretty long stream there on Sportscaster, so watched the game and watched Christian Wood only scored 23 points, so that wasn't great.
Yeah, We'll definitely have a little conversation about that. But before we get to that real quick, I want to give our huge shout out to mybookie.ag. Use our code USN100 to get a 100% matching bonus plus $15 in your account. Take advantage of the final weeks and the playoffs of the NFL, NBA. Definitely look out for Corey's tweets and my tweets on the player props. Still trying to figure out some of the trends, but definitely a lot of money to be made. So definitely take advantage of that. And then also a huge shout out to RX Hemp, which is going to help me tonight after a killer chest workout. Cool therapy, warm therapy, a lot of great. Use code RXHemp-USN to get 10% off your entire order. It's a really phenomenal product. If you have any questions on it or any concerns, just DM me. I've taken all the products. Phenomenal. I love it. Definitely recommend to use it, especially to Corey as he gets ready for another awesome season, which, by the way, I am going to order that jersey pretty soon, so I'm going to need you to help me out with that, which we can talk about off the air. And then finally, go to teespring.com/unwrapped and take advantage of some of our awesome merch. A lot of our shows are starting to get some merch up there. I know Generational Sports is on there, which I was just a guest on their show today. Hoodies, as you see, you might be able to see in the back of Garrett's in his background, you see that they got the poster with the OG mic. Definitely a lot of great stuff there. Stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to have some discounts available pretty soon that we can share to you. DM me if you're interested. I'll hook you up as soon as that discount code is available. But let's get to it, fellas. We got Monday Night Football. Corey's bitter rival, Josh Allen.
Real quick, I just want to shout out my bookie. I went 4 for 4 on player props tonight. So,
ooh, beast. What were they?
Let's see. I had Josh Allen over on rushing, Moss over on rushing, Singletary over on receiving, or sorry, not Singletary, Diggs over on receiving yards, and Diggs over on catches. So, all 4 of those hit.
Yeah, and I believe Diggs' receptions was plus odds, which is always great. Corey, any bets you had on this game?
Yep, and they all terribly went down in flames.
Oh,
I had Dawson Knox anytime touchdown, Clang off his hands, wide open in the end zone. Damiere Byrd anytime touchdown, Clang off his hands.
Oh,
so brutal stuff. Brutal.
Definitely. On the bright side, I did put $20 on Joe Kitch triple-double, which hit. So I'm going to toot my horn a little bit.
Big way.
Yeah.
Big way.
Well, we got a Josh Allen stand in the chat. Anthony Conover, MVP Josh Allen back at it again. You know what? Josh Allen, I saw in the that he actually just passed that last touchdown of Diggs. He passed Jim Kelly, correct? So now he has 34, the most in a Bills quarterback season. So, all right, Corey, I know that you are a man of the numbers. If Josh Allen does this again, are you believing in him getting out of that Cam Newton prototype of just kind of being a good quarterback? Do you think he can become a great quarterback or is en route to become a great quarterback? And is there anything that you have that you still have some reservations on?
Yeah, I'm still have my reservations just because obviously this is a small sample size, so we'll see if he comes back next year and can do the same thing again. I mean, that's the true test of a top tier quarterback is consistency over a long period of time. So If he can do it again next year, then I'll be a full-fledged believer. Pay the man, all that. You know, do what you got to do. But at the same time, we have seen remarkable quarterback performances in 1 year, and then next year not so much. So it'll be really interesting to see how he comes back next year, and if he does the same thing, man, all bets are off. I think they've done a great job. I mean, we've talked about this a lot tonight, and I think they've done a good job of putting the right supporting cast around him. I would like to see what happens if Brian Daboll does leave in offseason, however.
Yeah, no, definitely. Garrett, what's your kind of interpretation on Josh Allen's season? He's had a great year so far. Are you also are you on the Allen wagon, or are you still holding reservations and trying to look for more consistency long term as opposed to this short sample size?
I like Allen. He's been trending upward every year he's played. He's obviously having a great season this year. And at this point, if you're the Buffalo Bills, who else are you going to get? I think he's going to be the franchise quarterback moving forward. And like Corey said, we had a pretty in-depth conversation about it on the live stream. But I think you got to extend him. You got to give the boy some money and make him the face of your franchise. He's really good for the city of Buffalo. And I think he's good enough that even if the offensive coordinator leaves, he'll be able to work with another OC and put up maybe not as good of numbers, but similar numbers and keep the Bills in contention.
Yeah, and as we see Anthony in the chat, Diggs' top 5 wide receiver prediction was so good, was spot on. Damn, I'm good. Connie, way to toot your own horn. So Diggs' acquisition was definitely fruitful this year. It definitely, gave the Bills the number 1 receiver. We knew last year they had, John Brown, and they had Cole Beasley, guys who you wouldn't normally expect to qualify as a wide receiver 1. And, they went out, got somebody for Allen. They definitely have great chemistry. It's showing on the field. Pre-game, they're having a blast. I wish AB and Big Ben were having fun like that still, but, unfortunately chemistry doesn't always translate with good support. But, do you guys think that acquisition of Stephon Diggs, now 16 games in, do you think this was, definitely like, do you think this helps complete this offense? Obviously, we know the running back position is sort of in question, even though you have 2 young backs. Do you think that Josh Allen's season is partly because of Stephon Diggs, or this is just a part of the maturation of this offense? Corey?
I think it's definitely the reason why this offense has taken a step forward. Obviously, the adjustments and play calling analytically, they've been on point with when they throw the ball. They throw the ball in early downs. They don't really care about the running game so much, as we've seen with other teams who are like, we need to run the ball. Like you hear from like Mike McCarthy. We need to run the ball. No, you don't need to run the ball. You just need to throw in opportune situations. And Buffalo does a good job of doing that, putting their players in the best position to succeed. I think that's important. I do think Diggs was absolutely crushed it. I think both, it's a rare viewing of, a trade actually working for both teams. I think, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota, absolute awesome pick for them. And, getting Diggs out of there and sending him to Buffalo, where they were kind of at different points. Like the Vikings weren't going to pay Diggs. And now the Vikings got a cheap rookie contract, or cheaper rookie contract to work with for the next few years. So I definitely think it was a win-win for both teams. And I think Diggs was the key to this offense getting better.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely got peppered with targets this year. Gary, what are your thoughts on Diggs's, effect on this offense?
I think he was kind of the missing key there. I don't want to put too much credit on the receivers, because I still think Allen is a great quarterback, but without Diggs, the Bills are not where they're at. This game, I mean, solid 9 catches, 145 yards.
Solid.
Yeah, solid. Very solid. Good performance for Diggs. But he's been all over the place. He gets himself open. And the offensive scheme has a lot to do with that. Their coordinator is just ridiculous at scheming him open and making easy reads for Josh Allen. And that all contributes to you got a talented quarterback, you got talented receivers, and the coordinator knows how to use them. But I definitely think Diggs was a missing piece. And I mean, you can't argue that both teams won that trade because obviously Jefferson is doing really good things in Minnesota and they aren't dealing with Diggs' contract. But yeah, I don't think the Bills are where they're at without Diggs.
I think Diggs should get some MVP votes as well.
Yeah, he's definitely made his mark on this offense because I think before what was happening, especially like if we go back to last season when they were in the playoffs, and Josh Allen had that game that he wasn't at his best, but John Brown and Cole Beasley, they're not typically going to just create space and mismatch the way that like Stephon Diggs would have. So definitely I think it was the right move for them. I definitely think it also helped with Josh Allen's development. So definitely something to keep an eye on next year. And I'm sure everybody in the group chat's going to be looking to see when Corey turns to an Allen supporter. But with the running game, do you guys think that the Buffalo now having this, Stephon Diggs stabilizing the receiving core at the wide receiver one, Josh Allen is developing well. Do you guys think the running back position is going to be something to kind of upgrade this offseason, or do you think they're going to keep on rolling the dice with Singletary and Moss? What do you think, Garrett?
I'm a little back and forth. I think they kind of need to either pick a guy and go with him or pick up somebody else, one or the other. Because, I mean, Moss had 57 yards. Singletary had 36. Both of them averaging, Singletary just under 4 yards, Moss just under 5 yards per carry. The offensive line obviously can get your running back some space and allow them to get some runs. I don't know how big of a fan I am of the two-back system. I think you need to have a primary back in there. And whether that's one of those two guys or if they need to get somebody else, I don't really know. I'm not there to watch the Bills practices. But I think they do need to make some adjustments on the running game. A running game will really make it easier for your quarterback also. And it doesn't even have to be great. It just has to be a threat. If the defense has to defend against the run game, that will open up more options for your quarterback in that receiving core. So I don't know the answer, but I think they need to do something to have a little bit more of a running game.
Go ahead.
I don't think so. I mean, they're fine. They are what they are. Like I said, they don't need to run the ball. You don't need to run the ball for a play action to be effective. That's a fact of NFL. They're going to be on. They're going to be worried about Josh Allen running it as well. So you don't really need, a stalwart running back or one guy. And running back, one guy running back teams are so far in between at the moment, and it's not ever coming back. It's the way that the NFL is designed and the way the running backs are designed. You can go and find running backs to play. Plug and play. You can go find a running back right now off the street, and
Frank Gore.
He look like a world beater. So I think running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL. Choose one, pick one, draft 5 of them in the 7th round, and see which one sticks. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what matters is play calling, scheme, and putting the players in the right situations.
All right, let's switch it over to the Patriots. Cam Newton he was a starter to this game. Jarrett Stidham finished this game. Corey, what are your thoughts on the way Stidham came in? I know it was garbage time at that point. What were your thoughts on Stidham? I know that in the during the game they were talking about how why didn't he just go with Stidham? Why didn't Bill just go with Stidham? See what you have with him. The season's already lost. What's your thoughts on this quarterback situation? I know you've shared it before, but just what do you think? Are you still banking on not banking, but leaning on Cam Newton being the guy next year while they figure out who they develop for the future, or have you changed your stance on that? What are your thoughts, man?
I'm at a loss. I really think that they could bring him back and then draft a quarterback or whatever they want to do. I could see that happening. Whether they go out and get one of these free agent quarterbacks, and or they trade for one of the like the Sam Darnold types, or
Carson Wentz.
I doubt the Jets would do that. Carson Wentz, no thanks. That's too expensive. I'd rather them just get a cheaper option and see if they can make it pop somewhere else. So, like Trubisky, we talked about on a Sportscaster stream. I wouldn't be adverse to that either. Just like a quarterback that's kind of fallen off the radar, or maybe not Jameis because he's too interception prone. Doesn't really
Bill's
work.
gonna kill him.
Yeah, he got the LASIK though, so he can see linebackers now.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So, like the whole Stidham thing, I think he's like he's a backup, he's a third stringer type situation anyway. So, not expecting much from him going forward. But yeah, future wise, I could see them bringing back Cam. I thought it's been very interesting. The last, I don't know, I think it's been some time now. Like Cam Newton's been saying something very specifically in every single press conference, and it's beyond a coincidence at the moment. And he keeps saying, "I'm just doing what I'm asked to do." And he says that every single week. And I think it's more of it's not a coincidence anymore. And I think there's something behind that. I'm just not sure what it is. But I don't think the Patriots are asking him to do very much. And, they're telling him to do certain things specifically, and he's doing exactly what he's been told to do and nothing more. So I don't know if that's good for any quarterback, to being told to do one specific thing, over and over and over again, and not, kind of do what you see or do what your instincts tell you to do, but just to do what the coaches tell you to do. And it's very interesting they keep saying that. So I don't know what that means at this point in time, because I don't think we have all the information, but I don't think he'd be saying it if it wasn't true. So keep that in mind.
What do you think, Garrett?
I think it's interesting that Stidham came in the fourth quarter, and then ending stats for the quarterbacks where Stidham was 4 of 11 for 44 yards and Cam 5 of 10 for 34. And Corey's comment about Cam saying he's doing what he's told to do, kind of. I mean, do you think that Belichick is just kind of holding Cam back, keeping the offense basic, and just trying to slog through this year to make some moves in the offseason and bring Cam back next year and turn him loose?
I don't know, man. That would be some crazy BB stuff right there. But I don't know. I think there's something going on there, but I just don't know what it is, because it's very vanilla. It's very basic. Like whenever they don't ever run, it's just, I don't know. It's not what we have come to expect from this offense. Josh McDaniels, I know there's a lot of, in Patriots Twitter, there's a lot of Josh McDaniels haters. I'm not necessarily a hater of Josh McDaniels, but I think this offense has been not very creative at all. So it's interesting why he keeps saying that, and yeah, what's really going on behind the scenes. I don't think we'll ever know. Just like we don't know why Malcolm Butler didn't play.
Well,
that's crazy, yeah.
The one that really stuck out to me there is that Newton had 10 pass attempts in 3.5 quarters instead of at 11 in half a quarter.
Right.
Like, why aren't you letting your starting quarterback eat?
Right. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but for the fact that he says that every single week, I would have to go back and look when he started saying that, but I know it's been at least 3 to 5, like 3, 4, 5 weeks that he's been saying the same exact thing after every game. And it's a little bit. It's not a coincidence that he would say the same thing if that wasn't the case.
Do you think Bill Belichick will find the next franchise quarterback in those late rounds like he did with Brady?
Who knows? I mean, quarterback's such a crapshoot as it is in the draft. I mean, it's like a 50% hit rate, even in the first round. So obviously, it gets your odds decrease as it goes along. But yeah, who knows? Who knows what's in store? Like, I don't love any of the prospects coming out this year, really. The BYU kid's interesting, but if you have to take him in the top 10, I'm out. So yeah, I'm sure the Patriots will just get one of these first round quarterbacks that got thrown to the scrap heap because that's what they love to do. They like bringing in first round pedigree guys, undrafted free agent money.
Just out of curiosity, you said that you don't like any of the prospects coming out in the draft. If you had the number 1 pick, would you want Trevor Lawrence?
I would have to take Trevor Lawrence, I think, at this point. And Justin Fields next, and then Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, some kind of weird third, fourth spot. I do not want. Yeah, that's probably about it.
Oh, I was just more asking specifically for the Patriots. You said that you don't like any of the prospects. Would you, if the Patriots had number 1 pick, would you take Lawrence?
Great. Sure, we'll take him.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like there's a really big drop off from Trevor Lawrence and the rest of the quarterback class this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell, to be honest. I think it really is hard to tell. Like, if there was like a true science to it all, I think teams would be a lot better at doing it. And we've seen in the past that's not the case. So, yeah, it's really hard to evaluate quarterback talent coming from college football to the NFL and then dropping them into whatever your scheme and designs that you're trying to accomplish as well. So along with, the pieces that you have on your current offense. So the Patriots have no pieces on their offense. So it's going to be tough for any quarterback dropped into that situation at the moment.
You don't think Sony Michel's going to come back next season and be a top 10 running back?
No. I don't.
All right, let's switch it over to the defense. We all know J.C. Jackson. It's J.C. Jackson, correct? I want to make sure I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, he's had a phenomenal season. He did a great job with Diggs in the first quarter. Everything else is just Diggs is Diggs. But yeah, and then Stephon Gilmore, he's out. What pieces on this defense are coming back? What Division III player is Bill Belichick going to turn into an all-star, into an all-pro? Like who's coming back for the Pats on defense and who isn't? Like just in general, do you have a feeling as to who's coming back and who isn't? Just what are your thoughts? Like big names or anybody that you think is going to flourish with new opportunities the way that Damian Harris did from last year to this year? Like, you think anything like that's going to happen with this team? Just because just looking at this Pats team, it just feels so deflated, and it's just so non-Patriot, which again, it's one of those privileges as a fan that you've just been blessed with such long-term success that this 1 year feels so fucking weird. And of course it happens in 2020, so it even feels even more like cryptic. But is there anybody on this defense or offense that you see being a part of a resurgence to the Patriots next year, or helping the Patriots kind of surge themselves back into a winning culture?
Yeah, I think Josh Uche, the linebacker they got from Michigan, he's going to be a guy that takes a step forward in year 2. Kyle Duggar.
I've heard Duggar's name a lot.
He's an absolute stud, and I can't wait to see him next year. He's like a human missile. He can play linebacker, he can play safety. Hell, he could probably play corner in a pinch if he needed to. But I can't wait to see him. He seems to be kind of like a jack of all trades kind of guy, and he can tackle very well. And I'm excited about his future. I mean, the corners are fine. J.C. Jackson's restricted free agent. So I'm guessing they're going to either put a first round or second round tender on him. I don't expect Stephon Gilmore to stick around. This injury makes it a little bit more interesting, but at the same time, he's only due to be paid like $7 million next year. And I don't think he's going to want to plan that. So I think the Patriots will end up trading him. If not, they'll make him sit there with his $7 million contract and have to chill out for a while. But like Jonathan Jones, I like him as a corner. And these get potentially we get Patrick Chung back, Dante Hightower back. Those are big outs last year. So the defensive line's all young, really, and they're going to have to find some help there because I don't think there's any difference makers there. Chase Vinovich is fine, but there was something weird going on with him in New England this year as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him or moved him on or something like that as well, just because the New England scheme and the way they rush to passers, it's not set up for guys to have huge sack numbers and great success. Like it's kind of like a blue collar type situation where you're asked to set the edge, you're asked to keep contained and not do much else but make tackles, and no glory. There's no glory defensive ends in New England usually.
Garrett, anybody on this Patriots team that you think is going to be key to their success next season?
I like J.C. Jackson coming back. He did a really good job on Diggs. I mean, Diggs is going to be Diggs, as you both said. I mean, that's going to happen sooner or later, but he played him as well as probably any corner has this year. And it's going to be interesting because next year you aren't going to have the opt-outs. You're going to be getting, I think they had 8 starters on defense alone opt out this year. So I think it's just kind of a fluke year for the Patriots. And I expect them to come back pretty strong next year. And I use the Madden analogy a lot when talking about the Patriots, but Belichick seems to have this uncanny ability to put together 11 guys that would be rated somewhere between 75 and 85 on Madden, put them on the field, and they perform like a 99 rated unit. And I expect that to resume next year. I think it was kind of a fluke year. He's going to find his guys, and he's going to put a unit out there again.
All right. Do either of you gentlemen see? Now, this was talked about in another show I was on. Any chance you see Allen Robinson don a Patriot jersey next year? Corey, what do you think?
Sure, I'll take it. But I think it really depends on. Yeah, I think it depends on a lot of different factors here. How much you have to pay him? One. Who the quarterback will be? Two. And yeah, that whole situation, like we talked about a little bit on Sportscaster, it'll be interesting to see what the cap hit is for all these teams, because if it's $30 million less or $50 million less, like there's going to be a lot of middle class receivers, skill guys that are on the market for cheap, and I think that's where New England probably will look. Those middle class type of guys. So I don't know who the receivers are at the moment on the market. But yeah, I think they probably cheap out before they sign a guy for $25 million to play receiver for them.
If the Patriots somehow sign Juju, do you think Bill will let him do TikToks in the locker room?
Definitely not.
All right, Gary, what about you? Do you see any of these receivers that are pending free agents, like your boy Allen Robinson, who, as I've stated on a lot of different moments of the year, he's one of the most underrated wide receiver ones. Do you think he leaves the green pastures of Trubisky land in Chicago and goes to Newton land in New England?
I think a lot of that is going to depend on what the Bears do in the offseason. There's been a lot of behind the scenes rumors circulating as far as Bears Twitter and whatnot. As far as Allen Robinson goes, he was pushing for an extension earlier in the year. They didn't give it to him. And the story rapidly changed from the Bears wouldn't pay him to the Bears wanted to wait to the end of the year and see how the financials shook out. So I think it's also going to depend what they do with as far as coaching and quarterback. I could see if they keep Trubisky, Robinson coming back because he's been him and Trubisky have been playing very well here at the back end of the season. But if Nagy sticks around, and depending what happened front office wise in between that we don't know about in between A-Rob and the front office of the Bears, he could very well be on his way out regardless of what they want to do. But I would love to see him stay in Chicago. Like you said, he's a very underrated number one. I think he's been underutilized a lot of the season. So
my fantasy team agrees.
Yeah, and as far as wide receivers that could be available is such a rabbit hole that I would need probably at least 2 hours of time to research what would be available for the Patriots and what would be the best fit for them. And then the cap
Sammy Watkins is the best available.
Okay, but with his contract, is he going to be the best fit?
Yeah, well, you don't have to pay Sammy Watkins anymore. He's got all his money.
Okay,
Ooh, Larry Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald on the Patriots?
Yeah, Juju could be up.
Always rumors going there back in the day, and it never happened.
Yeah, well, and something I talked about with Ben briefly on the Sportscaster stream. What are the chances that Goodell waives the salary cap requirements for this year? Like just leaves it at what it was last year?
0.
You think? I mean, Goodell does whatever he wants.
Right, but I don't think that would happen. I think there might be maybe some kind of exemption, maybe, but
well, and that's what I mean. Just say instead of adjusting it for this year that was affected by coronavirus, to just say, hey, we're just gonna leave the salary cap. That way, nobody has to take the hit, and we'll adjust it after next season when we're back to normal.
Hold on, I have the list of the pending free agent receivers. I'm just going to name a few. We have Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Juju. Let's see.
Sorry.
Nelson Aguilar, who had kind of a little rejuvenation the second half of the season.
Oh, give me Nelson.
What? Oh,
love
geez.
Nelson.
Like Garrett said, Sammy, like Corey, you said Sammy Watkins, Josh Reynolds from the Rams, Demarcus Robinson from the Chiefs.
Yep, I want all those guys. Can I have all of them?
T.Y. Hilton, Will Fuller, huh?
AJ Green, can I AJ Green?
Marvin Jones, to me, I just feel like somehow he'll end up in New England.
Kenny
Galladay.
Kenny Galladay. Yeah.
What about Tim Patrick? You know, one of Locke's disciples.
Chris Godwin, a free agent? I think he is.
AJ Green,
Will Fuller,
Curtis Samuel. Oh, what about Curtis Samuel?
Oh, he's a perfect Patriot. Gadgety can.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like if we're being honest, that's probably one of the ones I actually kind of like. And the only thing is, all right, this last question I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna give you guys a second too because I want you guys to really think about this. The Bills got their first AFC East crown in a long time. Patriots have been one of the dominating factors as to why they have not been able to win the division. When do you guys, how many seasons, whether it be next year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, when do you think the Patriots knock the Bills out of the top of the AFC East? Do you think this is just a 1 year thing for the Bills? And Corey's thoughts on Josh Allen, he'll regress. It'll be next season, and Cam Newton will get an MVP. Like how crazy you want to be? Like, I don't want to be that crazy. All right, let's just have some fun. Do you think next season the Patriots, come back into form and kind of humble the Bills, or do you think it's going to be a 2-3 kind of 4 season long kind of full methodical rebuild, and Bill Belichick's just going to build the dynasty all over again in a couple of years? Garrett, I'm gonna let Corey stew a little bit because I know he probably has like a million theories in his head. Like he's like Doctor Strange right now in Endgame, just have all these millions of thoughts. Garrett, what do you think, man?
I am not willing to make a prediction for how many years it's going to be before the Bills get dethroned. I do expect the Patriots to be competitive again next year.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I'm such a believer in Bill Belichick. Like,
well, and that's it. I am not a Patriots fan. I don't really like Belichick. I am not a Tom Brady guy, but I am also a realist, and you cannot deny the talent that was there. And in both Brady was a great quarterback, and Belichick is a great coach. And I just, like I said earlier, I see this as kind of a fluke year for the Patriots. I'm not going. I'm a Josh Allen guy. I like him. I believe in what the Bills are doing. So I don't want. I'm not going to go so far as to say that they'll be dethroned immediately, or even 2 years down the road. But I could definitely see this being a back and forth. Patriots ending up 10-6 or 12-4, and then the Bills right behind them at 10-5. Just both those teams right at the top of the division, and it being a very competitive division going forward.
Yeah, Corey, and then I'm just gonna put real quick my 2 cents. So how many starters on the defense opted out this season? It was
I saw
8?
8 earlier.
I don't think it. I don't know if it was that many, but
Maybe it was 8 defensive players as opposed to 8 starters, but
I think it was 8 starters in general. But I don't know if it
Okay.
was all the defense.
All right, I'm gonna sip on the Patriots Henny, and I think they're gonna come back next season. And I think the defense, because if there's one thing about the Patriots, is I just feel like that defense, like you were saying, it's the blue collar. You got to do your job. You had multiple starters on the defense leave. Opt out. Dante Hightower, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the leaders on that defense in terms of play calling, audible stuff like that. So that's a huge piece of that defense that was missing the leadership, that like on the fly, like, hey, we got to adjust this, we got to do this. That is insane. Like the change. I mean, I played football at different levels, and I can tell you when the person who on the defense, whether it was the middle linebacker, whoever it was, if he was out and somebody else was changing the plays changing the schemes on the fly if something didn't look right, it just wasn't the same. And I definitely think this Patriots defense is going to come back next season and just be a lot more formidable, which I think in place, McDaniels and Belichick are going to be in closer games, games where the coaching really matters and the coaching wins. And I think that's how the Patriots are going to put themselves in a position to kind of get back into it. I'm just a full believer in Belichick. I know people say he's like is it Star Wars? He's Palpatine, like he's like the evil guy in the background setting everything up.
Emperor Palpatine.
Yes, that is exactly who Belichick is. He's just scheming in the background. No one is seeing anything, and then all of a sudden, boom! Where Cam Newton's gonna come out in like a Darth Vader suit and just throw 30 touchdowns next year. Which, by the way, Corey, I bet the over on Cam Newton's touchdowns, and I'm so dreading the day that it's gonna take my money away. All right, Corey, I've allowed you. What?
Does it count rushing touchdowns?
I wish. I might not be in so much trouble, but all right, now get out of your Doctor Strange millions of hypotheticals. How long do you think until the Patriots regain form? I'm saying 1 season, but again, I have been sipping on Bill Belichick's personal Henny. So
I think it's tough to say. I think next year they could. I mean, we're not talking about the Dolphins, who are going to make the playoffs as well. I think this division will be strong for years to come. And now Trevor Lawrence is out of the division, so that's kind of nice. But just looking at potentials here, I mean, I think the Patriots can be right back in the thick of things next year. Whether or not they can win the division will yet to be seen. I think there's a lot of moving parts with that as well. So we'll see what happens in the free agency and the draft. But I do think it's definitely plausible that they can win 10 games next year, 9 or 10 games, and win the division again. Like, this was the first time Bill Belichick's been swept by division opponents since 2000. Put that into the universe. I mean, Adam Schefter tweeted that out today. Bills became the first team to sweep the Patriots in a regular season since 2000. Bill Belichick's first season with the team. Before Monday night, Patriots were the only NFL team not to be swept by division foe since division realignment in 2002. So there's that. So I do think they can bounce back next year. Whether or not they get the pieces in there and in place before that, yet to be seen. I'll let you know how I feel in about 6 months.
Okay. No, I'll definitely be asking you a shit ton, by the way. But yeah, and then Matt Skura in the comments. What's up, guys? What's up, Matt? How are you? All right, that will just about end this stream. Corey, Garrett, thank you so much for donating some of your valuable time for this post game recap. Garrett, go ahead and promo anything you got coming up. I know you got a very. By the way, do you or Moose know the quarterback that is starting for the Rams this week?
That would be a Moose question because that's
Moose
back
question.
to the AAF, not the XFL. So
I know that, but I know that since you guys cover all football, I didn't know if maybe you guys had already talked about him or something.
No, we have not. We are actually taking this week off because we didn't take Christmas week off. So it hasn't really come up. I was gonna do a little bit of digging into him before this weekend. It will be interesting because you're looking at Washington with the XFL guy, LA with the AFL guy or AAF or whatever the acronym was, and then you are looking at possibly a CFL guy starting for Arizona. So it could be a very interesting weekend for our underappreciated guys that we love to tout on our show. But on the plug deal, Garrett from Iowa on Twitter, Sportscaster, and TikTok. And then People's XFL every Wednesday night, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. And I don't know how fast I'm going to get it edited, but I am in the middle of writing an article about the Cubs Yu Darvish trade. So look for that to drop soon.
Awesome. Corey, anything you want to promo, like your grand appearance on the hard count tomorrow, possibly?
Oh, maybe. My grand appearance on the hard count, possibly. Also, make sure you check me out at CMoney52, daily props, NBA, NFL, if there's a game. And apparently there are 128 scheduled D1 basketball games tomorrow.
How many?
That's not tomorrow. There's on Saturday.
Oh, that's
how
insane.
many?
There's going to be 128.
Oh my
Holy
god!
Shit.
So keep that
I
in mind.
got to put more money in my gambling account.
Oh man!
Have, week 17 power parlay.
Oh, that should be fun. Oh man!
Has the power parlay hit yet this year?
No.
Okay.
Were we somewhat close? And I know we missed on at least 2, not counting the Browns one.
Yeah. All the first half of the power parlay came through this week, and then the second half kind of fell apart.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think there was like three misses in the second half. 3 or 4 misses.
Gotcha. Yeah,
You guys need to start tweeting that parlay out.
Yeah, it's share it.
Big thing. Yeah, we can do it. We have it on a doc, so we can definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm just speaking more of a fan as opposed to a fellow contributor here, but like I listen to your show and I watch it whenever I can, and if not, I catch the podcast. But I don't have the time to sit down there with a notepad and a piece of paper and write down the picks as you guys make them. But if you guys put it out on Twitter, I would definitely be interacting with it, and I would quite possibly be throwing some money on it as well.
Yeah, you know what? Since I write it on the Google Doc, I could just copy it and paste it onto a tweet, and then we could just do it that way. Just because I know screenshotting the entire ticket is going to be like we saw before. It doesn't look pretty.
You got 16 legs on there. It's a little bit difficult.
Yeah. We can talk about that after, but yeah, definitely check out CMoney52 on Twitter and secure that Christmas money back. And then definitely check me out _Alex Valdez. I'm kind of leaning on just doing combos just because I've been a combo guy since I've started doing this, and it's been a little rough. It's been a little rough, Corey. I lost 3 yesterday by half a point.
Wow.
Yeah, painful, so painful. I was just like just in pain watching it. Like, oh come on, just get Garland, get a fucking assist, do something. It was painful. Super
No
painful.
pressure at all, but I am following your combo picks pretty
Well, just
closely. I don't
give
know
me a
anything
second, man,
about
because
the
I
NBA,
get.
so
Give me a second. I know Corey will get on his. Are you currently on a hot streak right now?
No, not after today.
I would say like I want to say maybe another week or two is when I'll really start to like figure out the tendencies, because right now is the time to kind of get a little risky and like get some unders on some guys that may be overvalued. Like Jokic, who's been on fire, he was at 40.5 today and he hit that pretty easily. So definitely this is like where Vegas is pretty vulnerable, which is kind of a hip, like not doesn't even sound like a real statement, but yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about these.
Zach LaVine under assist tomorrow, under 4.5. He's gone under 4.5 every single game so far this year.
I
I'm
don't.
gonna lock that one in too.
Yeah. There
Wait,
you
what'd
go.
you say, Garrett?
I don't bet unders. We had this discussion earlier on Sportscaster. I don't.
He doesn't like unders, but basketball is different. It's built different. Zach LaVine doesn't pass.
That's fair.
Should we? Is Cam Newton under passing yards a mortal lock this Sunday?
Yeah, it's definitely a mortal lock. If he's starting week 17, it's a mortal lock.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining me on tonight. This is the Monday Night Football recap with Unwrapped